Alethea and I thank you, my lady, you say, bowing. You will find me an amiable travel companion. I will protect your family with my life. The man scowls at her and turns to you and sheathes his rapier. Rooster, I am Wimmer Silver, formerly of Boraxiel. My wife is Emmeline Silver. She nods into the wagon. Our daughter's name is Betty. The little girl, Betty, pokes her head out of the wagon. She has unruly brown hair and large, afraid eyes. No doubt she was roused from her sleep by the terror of this night. Also, her skin is caked with brown smears like she has been bathing in mud. Rooster, find a seat and make yourself comfortable, says Weimer with an unconvincing smile. As it turns out, you picked the right wagon. The Silvers are in the pork and spice business, and the wagon is stocked full of both. As you sit in the back of the rockin' wagon, you gorge yourself a spiced, dried pork, washing it down with some rather high-quality ale. We sell hogs to the Duke himself. Wait, hold on. So you're in the middle ring, but you're selling to the Duke? Well, then again, that makes sense. I mean, the inner ring people wouldn't be, cutting, pigs and stuff. I guess that makes sense. The middle ring people would be supplying the pigs. We sell hogs to the Duke himself, says Weimer proudly. The merchant had hitched his riding horse to the wagon, now sitting in the back with you along with their daughter as his wife. Emmeline continues to drive the wagon. All four of you sit near the front so you can all hear each other. I know why I'm fucking up my words out of nowhere. Oh, you say, unsure what to say. Well, nobles certainly enjoy their pork. That they do, shouts Weimer, slapping his leg. It seems his wariness towards you has worn off. Maybe seeing you enjoy his wares was enough to take the edge off. The noble appetite afforded us a fine spice shop in Middle Ring, not far from the gate into the center. His smile fades, probably burned down now, though. Is it, Papa? Says Betty. No, certainly not, calls Emmeline as she turns and sticks her head into the wagon while giving Weimer a hard look. No, your mother's right, he says. Our shop is made of the finest stone. Are there monsters living in it now? Says Betty. No, exclaims Evelyn. Goblins don't like living in houses above ground anyway, says Weimer. What about the other kinds of monsters? Says Betty, her lip quivering. They will all be dead soon, says Weimer reassuringly. Betty seems unconvinced. Her hands tremble as she reaches for the leather flap that covers the wagon window. She peers out. Too dark. Monster can see in the dark, right? Only deer and rabbit are out there, says Weimer. Lots of deer and no monster. She closes the flap and turns. It would be funny if my sword started to glow right now. That would be so cool. We would just be like, monster shit. This would have been actually a perfect way to end a chapter, but unfortunately this is the start of a chapter. That would have been a perfect way to end a chapter. We are just getting a wagon ride and the blade starts to glow and we just go, ah shit. Here we go again. The San Andreas meme. That would have been hilarious. Lots of deer and no monster. She closes the flap and turns back to you, her eyes afraid. Right, just deer, I expect you say. Betty, I think it's time for another smearing, says Weimer. Betty considers this for a moment and nods, her lips set in a determined line. She spins around, and with the bent knees of someone accustomed to walking in a moving wagon, staggers to the back and pulls a curtain. Poor thing is scared witless. Oh, no, I was like, what the fuck type of disease is that? Says Weimer with a sigh. I was smearing cloves and cinnamon on herself to protect her from the monsters. He winks. Nonsense, of course, but it makes her less scared. That was my idea, Weimer, says Evelyn. She turns back forward to watch the road and speaks as though to the laboring horses, always taking credit. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, it's kind of annoying if someone takes a credit like that. I mean, in front of you as well. That's like, seriously. I'll have to remember that trick you say after a swig of ale. You're starting to feel warm and comfortable. I hope to have children someday. Oh, I recommend it, says Weimer, his eyes lighting up. Seriously, I didn't expect him to be the type to want to have children or whatever. His eyes lighting up. Betty is sweet as a lamb and smart as a fox. I'd have 4 more like her, of course. I wouldn't mind me a son or 2. He elbows you as he winks. But you find yourself a woman who wants him too. Old lady of mine is trying to keep it at 1. Easy for you to say, shouts Emmeline, turning back into the wagon, her eyes like daggers. Weimer winks at you and waves dismissively at Emmeline. What else is a woman for but to grow a man's seed? Wow. Seriously? Oh, seriously, dude. Wow. I guess these are medieval times, so I shouldn't take this at a hard edge, I guess. That's funny though. Maybe he's saying that as like a joke. Because if he's saying as a joke, that's funny. If he's not saying that as a joke, then well, it's medieval times. What can you do? But I have heard that some women find it incredibly difficult, at birth. It's just too painful for them, and they're like, nope, never coming here again. I'm just like, nope, this is not it. This is absolutely not it. So I've heard of that. That sometimes that women are mostly for the fact that labor and all that, carrying the child and all that is very difficult. So yeah, sometimes women don't like that, which is understandable, I suppose. But this is, hopefully it's a joke, but this is fucking fun. Hopefully it's a joke, but it's fucking funny, that much I can tell you. What else is a woman for? Repeats Emmeline, gritting her teeth. You don't say that when it's time for shop tending. I sell more than you ever do. She stabs her index finger at him accusingly, her eyes squinting into the lamplit wagon. But when it comes time for boasting, well, that's where all your talent comes out. Mind the road, woman, yells Weimer. Evelyn turns back to the horses. And why am I out here minding the road again anyway? She shouts forward again. What sort of man did I marry? She asks the horses. I was kind of about to ask that as well, that why is she driving the wagon? But then I was like, I mean, it's fine if a woman is driving the wagon. It's like, doesn't really make a difference. But I guess both of them have their own, prejudices. This guy thinks that, oh, women are just for like breeding and all that, and the woman is like, she should be driving the wagon, not me. But everyone has their own prejudices. But this little, husband-wife squabble. What is it? Squabble, sorry, not quabble. Squabble is kind of funny to listen to. A lot of sexism, but kind of funny. You suppose it's a good sign that they have become so comfortable around you. On the other hand, maybe you should keep your eye out for another ride. Because it's so fucking annoying. That's funny. As I say, careful on your choice of woman, says Weimer, leaning close and keeping his voice down while flicking his eyes out of the wagon flap. You nod politely. Yes, absolutely do not go for Kriya. I will hate this game if it ended with us like trying to pair us with Kriya. Fuck Kriya, as I always say. Fuck that bitch. Like, in this entire game, like, my list has pretty much disappeared at this point. There's 2 names on there, right? There's 2 names left on that list of the people I would like to murder. Well, like to murder when that list will be insanely long. But the 2 people, if I get the chance, would be Ironova and Ironova the vampire and Kriya. Ironova I can still bear with to some extent, but Kriya I just cannot bear with at all. She just pisses me the fuck off. Anyway, where were we? You lean in closer. Back when I first sees Evelyn, I say to myself that there is a real woman. I wager you already noticed her melons. He motions to his own chest. What? Wait, who leaned in? Oh, he leaned in and says like that Emmeline right there, she's a real woman. Have you seen those melons on her chest? Holy shit, first of all, bro, why are you talking about your wife's tits to me, first of all? And second of all, that is funny. Oh man, well, at least he appreciates big breast like everyone should, alright? You stammer. Well, what you can't see under all that high-priced linen, he continues as he caresses his own leg, is that she got thighs like a prized hog. And so I says to myself, now that's a real woman that's gonna birth a healthier litter. Emmeline, who had apparently been overhearing this despite her husband's attempt to keep his voice low, leans back into the wagon. I might have had more children, maybe even a litter, if you'd have given Betty a bath once in a while instead of leaving everything. But the gum wagging to me, the road woman, she sneers at him, but then there's a violent bump and she turns back. So it's not childbirth that she has a problem with, it's the fact that her husband does not seem to be present at the house and not doing stuff, just doing his work and hanging out with friends instead of taking care of the house and taking care of the little girl, his daughter. But he's been very just moody with it, so that's why she didn't decide not to have many more kids, to not have a lazy father on their fucking head, which is understandable. The curtain in the back opens. Little Betty comes out smiling, smeared with fresh cinnamon and cloves on her skin. I'm guessing cinnamon and cloves back in the day, in these medieval times, they must be expensive as shit. This guy must be rich as fuck. The scent of her is pleasant, although a bit overwhelming. That's good, dear. Now go to sleep. Monster can't find anyone when they're dreaming, says Weimer. Why? She asks. Only the gods knows. Only the gods know, says Weimer, shrugging. Apparently, this is enough explanation for Betty because she retreats back to the far end of the wagon and begins snuggling up with a pile of furs on the wagon deck. A pang of guilt hits you as you're reminded of little Phoebe in the clutches of that succubus Azazel. What does that demon want from a little girl? What are they? Where are they? Back at the Duke's castle? I highly doubt it. Weimer breaks you out of your troubled thoughts. Back to what I was saying, he says as he leans close and lowers his voice to nearly nothing. Emmeline's soft in all the right places, but her head is so hard. Just saying, you can't tell much just from the look of him. Just saying, you can't tell much just from the look of him. Oh, he's saying that he chose her because she was hot, but then she was like very rigid with her life decisions, and then he was like, ah man, this might have been a bad decision. I mean, the problem here is clear. He is the problem here, but whatever. He can do himself. He is rich after all. He should have just found someone more amiable and looking just for money, in which case he probably could have had a litter, honestly. Let's see, where were we? Can't tell much from the look of him. I've certainly learned that lesson lately. You whisper back. Oh, right, from Kriya and a lot of other ladies, to be honest with you. Whisper back. Weimer raises his voice back to normal. Handsome fella like you ought to have no trouble having your pick. He straightens up and clears his throat. This is, well, I don't know what Alethea would have to say about it. He nods at your amulet. Oh, Alethea wants me to be happy, you say, smiling sheepishly. That's what I've always said, shouts Emmeline from the wagon's deck. Alethea is one of the good ones. From the stories I heard, most of those gods are selfish and vain. Weimer winces. Be careful with your speaking of gods while we're careening through the night. Bah, the gods don't listen, says Emmeline. Weimer shakes his head. Anyway, Rooster, Emmeline knows all kinds of women and she loves matchmaking. Right, what sort do you like? Says Emmeline excitedly. Human to start with, you mutter. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Human to start with. Yeah, we have run into various creatures. Oh man, that is such a good thing to say. Right, what sort of women do you like? Says Emmeline excitedly. Human to start with, you mutter. Did he say human? Says Emmeline, leaning back into the wagon, eyeing you. I believe he did, says Weimer with a puzzled smile. Emmeline slaps the wood of the driving deck. I love a man who is easy to please. What the hell does that mean? You laugh. Expects Emmeline can match you with a fine human woman, that is. If any she knows are alive by tomorrow, says Weimer. Emmeline's smile leaves her as she turns back to mind the road. Weimer shakes his head and turns serious. Enough about romance. Tell me about yourself, Rooster. This is a very heart-warming conversation, except for the bolt in my neck. Well, that whizzed past my neck, but it's still bleeding, should be. Yeah, I'm still wondering how am I not dead from infection and all that. Weimer piles you with questions of your recent career adventures. You steer clear of mentioning House Ruda here. The less they know about any of that, the safer they will be. I'm actually the one that slew the abomination that had wreaked havoc on the castle, you say. Some call me a hero, but I don't insist on the title. Did not know the Slayer was a holy man, says Weimer. Rumors of him being some kind of rascal. The knights called him the lucky scoundrel, or just scoundrel for shorts. That is because they're envious, you say, nearly spitting out the pork. You take another swig of ale and swallow. I made the noble fighting men look weak. Is it true that Thug was mixed up in it? Asks Emmeline, leaning back into the wagon. Do not say that name, you whisper, a pit forming in your stomach as you look around, peering into the dark corners of the wagon. It was a monster, that much is certain, and the knights were being soundly beaten by it, so I had to intervene. I hope you get your reinforcements quick up there near Fortress Eggrain, says Weimer. What exactly did you see back in the city? You say. Weimer shrugs. Woke up to a big boom sound, got up, grabbed my sword. He passed the hilt of his rapier. When I looked out of the window, see glowing eyes and fire, lots of people screaming and shouting. He lowers his voice and gives a sideway look over at sleeping Betty. People dying, lots of that. Winged beast pulled Boris, the cake baker, not a small man by any measure, right out of his own window and dropped him on the street. Pack of goblins fell on him like wolves, stabbing, ripping, and beating. He shudders. Emmeline pats him on his... Wait, Emmeline pats him on his shoulder? How the hell did she do that? Wait, Emmeline is driving. Oh, she put her hand through the slit in the wagon. Okay. Evelyn pats him on his shoulder. Wasn't any of it about looting or raping, just killing. Yeah, these are not goblin slayer goblins. They're not gonna be raping. They're just out for killing.